Welcome to our channel, Book by Book. Today, we are diving into a guide that, well, it promises nothing less than emotional freedom.
A pretty big promise.
A huge promise. We're talking about the Four Agreements, a practical guide to personal freedom by Don Miguel Ruiz. And this book, it isn't just a bestseller. It has become this foundational piece of modern spiritual wisdom.
It really has. It provides this ancient Toltec roadmap for escaping, all that self-imposed suffering we carry around.
And it's amazing how a book published back in 1997, which you'd technically just categorize as self-help, managed to distill centuries of philosophy and spiritual thought into four incredibly direct commitments.
Oh, absolutely. They're so actionable. And it feels timeless, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's because it addresses that universal human thing, the self-doubt, the internal conflict.
I find the background of Don Miguel Ruiz himself just so compelling. I mean, he wasn't always a spiritual teacher.
Right, he was a surgeon.
A surgeon, someone dedicated to fixing the physical body. And it was a near-death experience that just completely reoriented his focus toward healing the mind, the internal systems that cause our suffering.
And that perspective is so key. His medical background, it lends a certain precision to how he analyzes the mind. He's essentially treating our deep-seated negative beliefs, not as moral failings, but as
mental infections.
exactly, like programming errors.
Yeah.
His core thesis, which we're going to get deep into, is that our internal suffering is a direct result of the agreements we've unknowingly made.
With ourselves, with society, all of it.
All of it.
And what an enticing promise that offers to you, the listener. I mean, imagine a life where criticism just slides off your back, or conflicts don't perpetually drain your energy.
And where that constant nagging self-doubt just isn't in the driver's seat anymore.
Exactly. That's the landscape this roadmap promises to navigate you toward.
That's right. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to unlock these four transformative commitments. We'll explain the Toltec roots, show the modern psychological relevance, and, show exactly how to integrate them.
We're aiming for a mental shift, a radical replacement of these deeply ingrained, limiting rules with new agreements that actually lead to inner freedom.
And what's fascinating here is the radical simplicity of Ruiz's core idea.
Yeah.
Your beliefs, these agreements you hold about yourself and the world, they literally create your reality.
Right. So if you're operating under an agreement like, I'm unworthy, then your actions, your reactions, everything is just going to reinforce that pain.
Exactly. You change the agreement and you fundamentally change your life.
It's not about superficial change, is it?
Not at all. We're talking about foundational programming. These harmful internal rules are what he calls the unconscious agreements. They aren't things we, sat down and logically decided on at 30.
No, they were downloaded, internalized when we were kids, often before we even had the ability to filter them.
Yeah.
So we're talking about things like, if I make a mistake, I am bad. Or, I have to put my needs last to keep the peace.
Oh, that's a huge one. Or the classic, my worth depends entirely on what other people think of me.
Right. And these agreements become our inner rule book, these invisible boundaries that dictate what we feel we can do, what we fear, and ultimately how happy we let ourselves be.
And that is why this book is so profoundly relevant right now.
Yeah.
In a world that's just saturated with external expectations and, comparison culture.
The social media effect.
For sure. This framework hands the power right back to you. Emotional freedom, as Ruiz argues, it's not some lottery prize. It's a decision. Transformation begins internally.
Okay, so let's unpack this framework first. Before we can fix the problem, we need to understand how the operating system got corrupted in the first place. How did we get these destructive agreements?
Ruiz provides a brilliant answer for this, which he calls the domestication of the human.
It's a powerful metaphor.
It is. He draws a parallel between how society raises children and how humans train animals. He argues that we are essentially trained from early childhood using a really robust system of rewards and punishments.
It's just pure conditioning, isn't it? If a child does what's expected, they're quiet, polite, they get good grades, they get the reward.
Praise, positive attention, validation, and most importantly, love.
But if they deviate, if they get angry or question things or fail a test,
Then they get the punishment. Criticism, disapproval, rejection, or that painful withdrawal of affection. And the result of all this training is profound. We internalize this massive amount of information about what we should look like, achieve, fear.
and what makes us worthy of being accepted.
Right. Now, socialization is necessary, but the damage happens because the child learns to fear punishment so intensely that they start judging and punishing themselves to avoid it from others.
Ah, so it becomes internal.
It becomes internal. They start conforming to this external idea of perfection, what Ruiz calls the book of law, even if it goes completely against who they really are.
So these inherited rules create that inner conflict he talks about, the constant tug of war between the judge and the victim within.
That's it. That's the duality where all the pain is stored and just constantly reinforced.
Let's break those two down. The judge.
Okay, so the judge is the voice of that internalized book of law. It is relentless, it's critical, and it's always watching. It uses all those old domesticated rules like you must be perfect to scrutinize every single thing you do, say, or even think.
And if you slip up,
The judge declares, you failed. You are fundamentally flawed. It's the voice of every disappointed parent or teacher you've ever had, all rolled into one and living in your head.
and the judge's constant criticism then triggers the victim.
Right. The victim is the emotional response. It's that feeling of I'm not good enough, that crushing weight of shame and guilt that follows whatever the judge says. The victim just wallows in that feeling of powerlessness, reinforcing the old agreement that you're somehow broken.
So it's a closed loop. The judge provides the law and the sentence.
And the victim accepts the punishment. It's this devastatingly effective cycle of self-suffering. And Ruiz really emphasizes that this is self-imposed. It's a direct result of internalizing other people's opinions and letting them become the law of your inner world.
It's a powerful realization that we're literally punishing ourselves every day for opinions that were just projected onto us years ago. The agreements we made, they form an emotional prison.
But the beauty of the book is that it gives you the escape manual. The path forward is what he calls a mental detox. And it requires absolute vigilance.
You have to start noticing the thoughts.
Yes. Noticing the subtle criticisms from the judge and consciously asking, is this true? Whose voice is this really? We have to recognize we have the power to replace them with the 4 new agreements, which act like powerful antidotes.
It's about taking the power back, recognizing we can stop accepting the sentence from the judge and instead choose beliefs that actually empower us. So let's start with the first, foundational solution.
Okay. Lesson 1, be impeccable with your word. This is the starting point because in the Toltec tradition, the word itself is seen as pure creative energy.
And Ruiz is really clear that this is the most important agreement because it's the vehicle for everything else. But we need to dig into what impeccable really means here. It's more than just tell the truth.
Oh, way more. The Toltec definition is deeply spiritual. It means without sin. But Ruiz immediately clarifies that sin in this context just means anything that goes against yourself.
So to be impeccable with your word means to speak with integrity and honesty and kindness, making sure your words don't create self-rejection.
Exactly. It's nonviolence toward yourself first. The creative power of words is immense. They aren't just sounds, they're tools. They can create beauty or they can create terrible destruction.
In our own minds and out in the world.
Right. And we have to look at this power in 2 distinct areas. First, the internal word, how you speak to yourself. And second, the external word, how you speak to others.
The internal word is so hard to tame. That judge operates constantly, often just below our awareness, with all this negative self-talk.
I'm always failing. I'm not smart enough. Nobody likes me. We commit this verbal self-abuse daily without even thinking about it.
And this is where Ruiz's analogy of black magic becomes so visceral.
It's a powerful one. He says negative words are like a potent spell. They infect the mind, they paralyze you, they spread fear. When you tell yourself, I'm a failure, you aren't just describing a setback. You're casting a spell on your identity.
You're making failure an agreement you have to uphold.
Yes, and it's the cumulative damage. If you constantly repeat that you're bad at public speaking, your words literally limit your potential. They increase your anxiety and condition your body to react with fear before you even get up there.
You've already agreed to fail internally.
Exactly. The mind is fertile ground. If you plant negative seeds, you harvest insecurity. If you consciously plant empowering seeds like I am learning or I can handle this, you cultivate confidence. Your internal dialogue literally defines your life experience.
So then expanding that outward to the external word, this covers things like gossip or casual judgment.
And Ruiz is uncompromising on this. When we use our words to spread poison about other people, we are still committing an act of black magic.
Even if they never hear it.
Right, because we are the ones using our creative energy to generate more fear and doubt in the world. And that negativity, it always circles back. It keeps us focused on other people's flaws so we don't have to look at our own.
So the practice here is just constant, rigorous mindfulness. It's that check before you speak, internally or externally. So what's the immediate actionable item here.
It's the triple filter check.
Yeah.
It's maybe the most practical tool in the whole book. Before you speak, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this kind? Is this true? Is this necessary?
And if the answer is no to any of those,
The word should remain unspoken. Mastering just that one filter would instantly transform most people's inner landscape and their relationships.
and when you operate from that place of impeccability, you build the integrity you need to embrace the second agreement, which provides the emotional insulation we all desperately need.
Lesson 2. Don't take anything personally. This is the one everyone says is the hardest to master,
Oh, for sure.
but it is by far the most liberating principle in the entire book.
I think it's so difficult because our default setting, thanks to that domestication, is to think everything is about us. If someone's angry, it must be because of something I did.
Right. Or if they praise me, it reflects my worth.
Yeah.
And that's the trap. The core concept is that anything others say or do good or bad is a reflection of their reality, their worldview, their wounds.
It's not about you.
It's not about you. Taking it personally means you are agreeing with an opinion someone else projected onto you. The moment you internalize their criticism, you accept their emotional poison.
You can't be hurt by an opinion unless you believe it yourself.
Exactly. Their reaction, a cruel insult, a passive-aggressive comment, it reveals their stress level, their insecurity, their emotional landscape. It is never a measurement of your actual value.
This agreement is so crucial because it just surgically removes the root of so much unnecessary emotional suffering. If you can genuinely internalize, it's not about me, then the sharp edges of criticism and rejection, they just become dull.
Let's ground this in a real-life scenario. Imagine you've worked for weeks on a project and your supervisor gives you this really harsh, disproportionate criticism. The domesticated response is immediate devastation.
I failed. I'm incompetent. You take it personally, believing it's an accurate reflection of you.
But the reality, which you don't know, is that your supervisor is under extreme pressure from their boss, their budget just got cut, and they're dealing with some intense personal anxiety.
So their reaction is a symptom of their chaos.
Exactly, not a measured critique of your ability. When you truly get this, you can still hear the feedback, the factual parts, without internalizing all the emotional charge. You don't have to carry the weight of their stress.
That makes the analogy of the gift so powerful.
It's a great one. If someone tries to hand you a box filled with anger or judgment, you have 2 choices. You can accept the gift, open it, and hold it, which causes you to suffer.
Or you can just smile and say, no, thank you. Decline the gift.
And if you decline, they're left holding their own negativity. Their emotion remains theirs. This is where you, the listener, gain incredible power. The power to suffer is actually the power to choose not to suffer.
It's an assertion of boundaries, and the actionable item here is that internal pause. When you're facing any external negativity, the immediate thought has to shift from, why did they do this to me, to...
This is their story, not mine. That detachment is the firewall.
And this detachment, it doesn't mean being cold or indifferent. It just means recognizing that other people's opinions of you have no bearing on your reality unless you give them permission.
Right, and that frees up so much mental energy.
Okay, moving on to the third agreement, which targets one of the biggest sources of drama. Lesson 3, don't make assumptions.
Ruiz calls assumptions poison in communication, and he's not wrong. The vast majority of arguments and misunderstandings, they don't come from a real conflict of truth. They come from the gap created by an assumption.
We are masters at this. When we're faced with a lack of information, our anxious mind just rushes to fill that gap with a negative, fear-based story. We assume motive, we assume intention.
All based on almost no data. And this poison works in 2 ways. First, we assume others see the world exactly like we do, so we think they should automatically understand our feelings without us having to say anything.
Mind-reading trap.
Totally. A partner should just know I'm upset. And when they inevitably fail to read our mind, we feel victimized. And the judge says, see, they don't care about you.
And the second way it works is through projection. We take something small, a text that doesn't get a reply, and we inject all our fears into it, creating suffering over a completely fictional scenario.
We suffer for things that haven't even happened. Think about the emotional cost of that. We've spent hours agonizing over these made-up stories instead of just dealing with the facts.
So a friend doesn't reply to a message. The immediate assumption is they're ignoring me, they're angry, and that causes real pain.
When the reality might simply be that they're busy or their phone died. The suffering was entirely self-imposed because you chose the drama of the assumption over just waiting for the fact.
Ruiz has that great analogy here. Assumptions are like fog on a road.
Yes, when you drive into heavy fog, you can't see, you slow down, you get anxious, you can't navigate effectively based on what you think is ahead.
So the only way to clear the fog is with the light of communication. The actionable item is so simple, but it's revolutionary for most people.
Just ask. Stress the importance of asking for clarity.
It sounds so basic.
But how often do we actually do it? We have to train ourselves to ask openly and without judgment. What did you mean by that? Or can you clarify that for me? Or is my understanding of this correct?
Clear communication prevents emotional chaos. It takes a little vulnerability up front.
But that vulnerability saves you so much pain down the line. You exchange the imagined safety of staying quiet for the radical freedom of knowing the truth. Which brings us to the final agreement, which ties them all together.
Lesson 4. Always do your best. Now, at first glance, this sounds like more pressure. Another way for the judge to demand perfection.
But Ruiz completely turns that on its head. And this nuance is absolutely crucial. He defines your best not as some fixed, perfect standard, but as something that's fluid. It fluctuates.
It changes based on your energy, your health, your circumstances.
Exactly. In that specific moment, this is what frees us from the tyranny of perfectionism. The goal is just to give your full, genuine effort in the moment you're in, no more, no less. If you wish too hard, you burn out.
And if you slack off, you create regret.
Right. So this agreement is the ultimate antidote to both perfectionism and the self-criticism of the victim. It lets you live with peace instead of pressure. Perfectionism is a fixed, impossible ideal that leads to burnout. But consistency in doing your flexible best, that leads to sustainable progress.
And the reward is internal. When you look back on any situation, if you know you genuinely gave your best effort given the circumstances, you eliminate regret, guilt, and self-criticism.
Think about it this way. You might wake up one morning feeling great, rested, inspired. On that day, your best might be 8 super productive hours.
But 2 days later, maybe you're fighting a cold or you're distracted by a family issue. On that day, your best might only be 2 hours of solid work and then prioritizing rest.
And doing your best in that second scenario means honoring your limited capacity without judgment. It means not letting the judge criticize you for failing to meet the standard of your best day when you're clearly on a limited day.
The commitment is to the effort, not the outcome.
Precisely. Ruiz's analogy about the tree is perfect here. A tree doesn't grow at the same speed every day. Some days are sunny, some rainy, but it consistently grows according to the resources it has. So should you.
So the actionable item for this one is a fundamental shift in focus.
Yes. Stop measuring success by external outcomes and start measuring progress by your alignment with genuine effort. If you can honestly answer yes to the question, did I truly give my best today with what I had to work with?
Yeah.
Then you have fulfilled the agreement.
So if we can apply these 4 agreements consistently, being impeccable with our word, not taking things personally,
Not making assumptions, and always doing our best.
we're effectively dismantling those systems of domestication and self-abuse that we've carried since we were kids.
It's the blueprint for inner mastery.
Yeah.
Because true freedom isn't about your external circumstances changing. It's about having the ability to choose your response, your thoughts, your beliefs.
It's about detaching from the system that taught you to fear and suffer in the first place.
Exactly.
So let's synthesize this into some comprehensive, actionable takeaways for you, the listener, who wants to apply this wisdom right now. Let's do 10 practical steps for daily transformation.
All right. Let's start with the one that supports agreement 1. 1. Speak kindly to yourself. Your inner voice dictates your self-worth. You have to catch the judge in the act and consciously replace its critical words with supportive ones.
2. Pause before reacting. Create that intentional space between an event and your emotional response. Remember that immediate turmoil usually comes from taking something personally or making a fast assumption. That pause is where your freedom is.
3. Ask more questions, always. Assume nothing. This is the antidote to relationship friction. Invest that little bit of energy for clarity now to save yourself immense emotional energy later.
4. Detach from external opinions. Really internalize this. You are not defined by others' judgments or praise. Their opinion is just a reflection of their mental state, not your value. Don't accept the gift of negativity.
5. Actively rewrite your beliefs. Use these agreements as a filter. If a belief is causing you chronic suffering like, I must achieve X to be worthy, it's an old agreement that needs to be consciously replaced.
6. Stop striving for approval. This is a big one. Seeking external validation is a constant surrender of your power. Your worth is internal. Validation is a resource you generate yourself, not something you have to earn from others.
7. Focus intensely on effort, not results. Do your best without obsessing over the outcome. If the effort was honest and complete for that day, then the result, whatever it is inherently acceptable. That eliminates guilt.
8. Practice mindfulness and vigilance. Self-awareness is step 1. Be constantly vigilant to notice when you slip back into old agreements, when the judge starts talking, or the victim starts feeling sorry for itself.
9. Forgive yourself constantly. This is not a path of instant perfection. You will slip up. Compassion speeds up the healing process. Self-judgment just reinforces the judge. Treat mistakes as lessons, not failures.
And finally, 10. Repeat the 4 agreements daily. Consistency is what creates transformation. This isn't a book you just read once. It's a practice you commit to every single day, reinforcing this new, liberating structure until it becomes your default setting.
To really summarize the essence of this work, let's just quickly review the top 5 key lessons that really stick and drive change.
First, your words create your reality. Speak with integrity and kindness, especially to yourself. That's the foundation.
Second, don't take things personally. It's truly, fundamentally never about you. It's always about the other person's internal world.
Third, ask questions. Assumptions are poison. Seek clarity relentlessly to prevent all that unnecessary emotional pain.
Fourth, do your best daily. Effort matters infinitely more than perfection. Honor your fluctuating capacity without any judgment.
And finally, number 5, rewrite your beliefs. Consciously dismantle that domestication. Freedom starts and ends with the agreements you choose to keep in your mind.
The ultimate truth that Don Miguel Ruiz reveals is that genuine transformation doesn't require complex rituals or huge external changes. It just requires an unwavering, conscious commitment to these 4 simple agreements. Freedom is found entirely in the rules you choose to live by.
When these agreements are applied consistently, Ruiz promises that your life stops being a reaction to the outside world and instead becomes this peaceful, intentional, and joyful creation of your own design. It's a manual for reclaiming your authenticity.
And for escaping those self-imposed prisons we've all carried for far too long.
Thank you so much for joining our summary of Don Miguel Ruiz's The 4 Agreements here on Book by Book. We hope this dive into the Toltec path to freedom gives you the clarity and motivation you need to start your own mental detox today.
If you found this summary helpful and insightful, please subscribe to our channel Book by Book. Sharing this with others who are seeking personal freedom and liking this video will motivate us to keep bringing you the best book summaries.
We look forward to seeing you in the next one.